Hey guys, this is Elceline Fitness. I am 2 weeks into quarantine. I have lost 3 kilos, so I wanted to show you guys what I've been eating during quarantine. So this is the first recipe I'm going to put out there, which is a quarantine roast. So let's get right into it. After washing the chicken with some lemon, I put 2 slices in each chicken thigh. You can also use chicken breast, chicken drumsticks. You can use any chicken for this. It tastes great either way. After that, I went on to preparing the ingredients. So I get all the ingredients out to make sure I don't forget anything, which is a good but small tip. I ended up using garlic flakes instead of the cloves because my cloves were a little bit small and I didn't have time to run to the shops. So I start by slicing my onions into little bits. I try to make the slices as small as possible because when it's small it tends to melt, which I prefer. I only use 1 Scotch bonnet this time. If you're used to chili, you can use more than one, and then I pour everything into the chicken and I try and mix it around. Now you can set the chicken aside for a moment because we're going on to the seasoning part. So let's talk about seasoning. When it comes to seasoning, I usually start with Maggi cubes. For every 4 pieces of chicken, I usually have 1 Maggi cube. So here there was 12, so I had 3 pieces of Maggi cubes. I then put a tablespoon of cumin in there, 3 tablespoons of all-purpose seasoning, the chili flakes, ginger flakes, and garlic flakes. I couldn't put it in the spoon because that would have taken too long, but usually a tablespoon of each of these is enough as well. I then go on to the jerk seasoning. I prefer to use the paste. I think it tastes better and tastes fresher, and depending on how much spice you can take, you can add more, but I added 2 teaspoons. I then move on to a jerk dipping sauce. This is a bit like a jerk barbecue sauce. You can use any kind of jerk barbecue sauce. 2 tablespoons should be enough. If you want it extra barbecuey, you can add maybe 3 instead of 2. I then mix it all together and it should form a paste. After that, I add 2 tablespoons of olive oil. I try to avoid using other types of oil. After this, I mix it all together and then pour it on top of the chicken evenly. After this, you can use the spoon or use your hands with gloves to rub the seasoning into the slices that we made earlier. And you need to make sure it's in those slices to make sure the chicken is seasoned properly. Once the seasoning is evenly spread, put it in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. I like to leave it there for an hour. Then we go on to the sweet potatoes while that marinates. I like to use sweet potatoes rather than normal potatoes because they have more protein and less net carbs. I chop them into wedges usually, but you can chop them how you like. I then put a tablespoon more like of salt and some chili flakes on top and about a tablespoon of olive oil again, and mix that all together. Once that's done, I put both the chicken and the sweet potatoes in the oven at 200 degrees Celsius. I then go on to prepare the gravy. I chop onions and place them in a pan with a tablespoon of oil. I then make sure 15 minutes in that I turn the chicken around so that the other side can brown as well. And the chicken stock from that chicken, I pour it into the onions in the frying pan when the onions become translucent. I then pour 2 tablespoons of gravy granules into a bowl with hot water and add that to the chicken stock and onions and let that simmer for about 5 minutes. While that's happening, I would be making the asparagus. With the asparagus, I use a teaspoon of oil with sea salt, crushed garlic, and crushed chili flakes. I simmer or fry that more like for about 5 to 7 minutes, and that would be it, just to make sure that the asparagus isn't too soft. After 35 minutes, the chicken should be browned and cooked well and look just like this, and the sweet potatoes shouldn't be too soft. I would say check on the sweet potatoes throughout the cooking process to make sure that they don't get too soft. And that's it. That's how I make my sweet potatoes and spicy chicken with asparagus. Please make sure you have more asparagus on your plate than that. My dad ate them before we reached dinner time, so I would say you need a lot more veg than that to be healthy. And if you do cook it, please tag me and make sure you subscribe and look at my fitness channel for more recipes and fitness sessions. Enjoy!